From Sign News, cave bear footprints found in Spanish cave. From prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, and if you love talking about animals, share this show with everyone you know. You can catch new episodes throughout the day at Creature Guide Live on Rumble and YouTube. And don't forget to catch our animal documentary commentary live stream on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Central on Rumble. Now, let's get into the animal news of the day. Take a deeper look into what's going on here. This is a very rare sight. Paleontologists have discovered a set of ancient bear footprints in Honseca cave near in northern Spain. Although distinguishing cave bear from brown bear tracks is complex, cave bears are considered the most likely trace makers in Honseca. Wonder how old they are. Whoa. Okay. Wow. These are very well preserved cave bear footprints. Yeah, when looking at animals like the cave bear, it wasn't much larger than a Kodiak brown bear today. So, on average, they probably reach somewhere around 1,200 to 1,300 pounds. And looking at the different chemical isotopes that have been done on the cave bear's teeth, and this is specifically the species Ursus spelalis, which existed in actually throughout much of Europe as well as into different parts of Eastern Russia. I believe even an area in the Caucasus Mountains, so near areas of Georgia, somewhere around 250,000 years ago. So its species didn't have a very long reign, so somewhere around 250 to 300,000 years. Cave bears were a very large type of bear that formed the sister lineage of living brown bears and polar bears. These animals lived in Europe and Asia during the Pleistocene epoch and became extinct about 24,000 years ago. Yeah, it is interesting. Um, Kind of like we see certain extinctions going on in Australia around 45 to 50,000 years ago. And with within different species of megafauna, so the larger mammals during the Pleistocene epoch or the Ice Age, certain animals ended up going extinct slightly before the major extinction event that occurred 11,000 years ago. And the cave bear ended up going extinct somewhere between 24 to 26,000 years ago, which is interesting. They were around 11 feet long. This seems to be a pretty accurate representation of their weight. So probably on its hind limbs, it could reach about 10 feet in height and weigh somewhere around 1,300 pounds. You could have larger individuals. Oh, did I finish what I was saying about the chemical isotopes? Um, it looks like they were much more herbivorous than most or certain species of brown bears. If you're looking at different populations over in Northern Europe or even the eastern part of the continent, Russia and North America, looks like they were feeding on a wide variety of different species of plants. But there is evidence for the DNA of a certain species of steppe mammoth occurring within the isotopes. So they did forage on meat occasionally. Oh, it also does look like that they were hibernating possibly for a longer extent than many of the brown bear subspecies today. Cave bears and people likely encountered one another occasionally. Despite their name, they didn't actually live in caves. Yeah, they would constantly have to be foraging for vegetation. Um, I guess I forget that some people really do think because something is called the cave lion or the cave hyena, the cave bear, that they explicitly live in caves. Um, like um, the cave catfish over in Kenya, which is also albino due to it being restricted to the cave. So if this were to occur, we would be seeing albino brown bears. But not just that, I don't think they would be able to survive in that situation. I mean, the catfish that I'm talking about is feeding off of microscopic organisms and bits of debris or insects that fall to the areas of water that are in the cave. The massive grinding molars and nitrogen isotope data from its bones indicate that cave bears were primarily herbivorous. with foliage their main dietary staple. Yep, I said that. Cave bear tracks are not uncommon in the soft sediments of the caves of the Iberian Peninsula, and many speleologists are familiar with their presence. However, until now, these fossil traces had not been the subject of systematic research. In fact, to date, only one study of this type was carried out in Ursiler Cave in Romania. Interesting. And so here's representation of the cave bear. Cave bears also seem to have a bit more of a sort of elongated height to them as opposed to animals like Kodiak brown bears and have more of like a sort of horizontal sort of a length build. Dr. Mateos and colleagues discovered a set of 16 cave bear footprints in Honseca Cave, Palencia, Spain. The footprints were assigned to Ursichinus europaeus. Oh, that's a different species. Um, I just randomly assumed Ursus spialis. Um, and represent the first record of this ichno species from a cave in the Iberian Peninsula. Europaeus, well, specifically Ursichinus, this is a completely different genus species. I believe was close to the same size, but existed a bit earlier in time. So we could be talking somewhere around 500,000 years ago. The cave bear appeared much later. We carried out a scan of the surface with the footprints and its immediate surroundings with a laser scanner that creates a three-dimensional cloud of millions of points, and we combined it with a model obtained by uh, photogrammetry. Now, the thing is that when it comes to the different animals that coexisted with the cave bear, and even species of bear related to the cave bear beforehand, you also had the hyenas that roamed Europe and different parts of Africa, such as Procuceta. So, Pro- Procuceta was somewhere around 300 pounds, so much larger than spotted hyenas today, which don't usually exceed the 200-pound realm. That's a pretty large female hyena. And they would be hunting the woolly rhinos, in some cases, even the hippos that would have existed within the region. Now, the hippos also at this time were close to the size of the ones today. You had species of hippos, such as Hippopotamus antiquus, which could reach somewhere around 7,000 pounds and was probably mostly an herbivore, feeding on different species of aquatic plants that occurred in the wetlands of Pleistocene Europe. So we did have hippos wandering much of Europe during the Ice Age. And you also had animals like the cave lion, or also known as Panthera spilea, which was much larger than today's lions. Panthera spilea probably could range somewhere between 800 to 1,100 pounds, is how large it was. So this animal would have been feeding on different species of mammoth within the region, probably going after juveniles, not preying on the adults. I mean, you had the largest or some of the larger mammoths within the region could reach over 12 tons. And we're talking about a species called um, Mammuthus mendiolensis. So this animal could reach a height of around 13 feet and weigh over 12 tons. Now, the females, it's estimated, were probably much smaller, about the size of a larger African bush elephant, so somewhere around 7.5 to 8 tons, which is still not a small animal. But looking at the sheer size of the males, also looks like they could have scored tusks of over 14 feet in length. We also had the woolly rhino Coelodonte antiquus that would have existed over in Spain. There is evidence for woolly rhinos existing within this country, as well as even Pleistocene muskox that have occurred here. So you had a lot of animals today that are restricted to the high Arctic that actually existed in much more southern areas. The Panthera spilea over here has also been found different parts of eastern Russia, and even in Spain at the time. There are several sites with the caribou, not caribou, Rangifer tarandus, which technically is the reindeer caribou, that existed in different areas of southern Europe during the Pleistocene. So the Ice Age had a lot of variety of different large mammals. The let's see. This model has been used to take different measurements of the footprints and compare them with those of other caves in Europe, like the Romanian cave of Ursiler. In addition, processing the model has allowed us to generate images that highlight the shape of each individual footprint. The shape of the toe impressions and the length of the claw marks, both in Ursiler and Hunseca, suggests that in both cases they belong to cave bears, a species that went extinct around 28,000 years ago rather than brown bears. Um, well, there were at least 6 different species of cave bear, but I'm guessing it suggested earlier that it belonged to the Europus species. Unfortunately, some of the footprints were destroyed by the footsteps of amateurs who visited the interior of the cave. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Shame on you! Without being careful before the scientists knew of their existence. Oh, okay. Well, if you couldn't see, then I'd take that back. Um, therefore, one of the goals of these types of studies is to highlight the value of these fossils and promote their preservation. Yeah, it wasn't hitting me like depending on how deep into this cave the footprints were, I mean, you just couldn't see them. Like I was thinking they had already found them, and then people just walked through and they wanted to leave their um, footprints. I don't want to see your Nike impression. Um, Thousands of years from now. You think how horrible that would be? There's a cave bear footprint from 26,000 years ago, and then there's a Nike footprint. Like, ugh. Anyway, um, this is really good to hear that we have fossilized or well preserved cave bear footprints within this cave in Spain. They look very well intact. And it's definitely evidence that they were inhabiting the area, as well as this other region within Romania. So that's over in Eastern Europe. So I'm guessing some part of the Carpathian Mountains where the cave bears were inhabiting, as well as the different species of hippo, mammoth. Also, to remind everybody, many tend to assume that woolly mammoths were extremely large and existed for a long period. So the mammoth I mentioned was not the woolly mammoth. The woolly mammoth is Mammothus primigenus, which was much smaller than Mammothus meridionensis. Mammothus primigenus only reached maybe around 7 tons, so a very large Asian elephant, and probably didn't grow to much more than 8.5 feet in height. Also, probably originated in the Ice Age somewhere around 600,000 years ago. So many tend to assume the moment the Ice Age appeared, which was somewhere around 2 million years ago, the mammoths evolved. And that's not true. They actually existed much later in time. They have been found in different parts of Europe and Russia, as well as Alaska and the Yukon. But also, if you look at just the overall shape of these individuals, I mean, they might be representing the woolly mammoth, but they seem to have too much of like a step mammoth sort of physique to them. I mean, this is a really good picture. And this whole ecosystem, this isn't random. This is actually supposed to represent the mammoth steppe, which was a very unique ecosystem that dominated much of northern North America into different parts of northern Asia, as well as much of Europe, in which the woolly rhinos, the mammoths, and even these different cave hyenas um, and the lions inhabited. So there's a small amount that exists in some part of Russia, but outside of that, as you travel into the other regions where you can find like tundra caribou, that has turned into more of a moist, mossy tundra, which is not suitable for mammoths. Mammoths, for the most part, especially the Mammothus meridionensis, need a grassland, more of sort of like a semi-arid grassland um, habitat, different from what you see in areas like the Great Plains or where even saiga antelope today inhabit different parts of Kazakhstan, Russia, Mongolia, and there are some cases with Meridiolensis, which is interesting. This animal might have actually inhabited um, certain like oak or even birch forests. Probably what I'm guessing is that this could have been a more open woodland because more open woodlands would have contained, or they do contain in some instances today, their own types of grassland. So that's probably where the mammoths were foraging. Their teeth were not very well adapted for munching on leaves. That was something that you would find with animals that belong to the mastodon family, which you could find or mastodon branch of the elephants-like creatures. And you could find these animals in different parts of Africa, Asia, and into North America and South America. Mammoths never really reached South America. It's pretty much places like um, California, Texas, possibly northern Mexico were the most southern extent of their range. But also, they never reached Australia. In fact, none of this megafauna did. Okay, well, um, let me know what your favorite species of megafauna or ice age animal is in the comments. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, and if you love talking about animals, share this show with everyone you know. You can catch new episodes throughout the day at Creature Guide Live on Rumble and YouTube. Don't forget to catch our animal documentary commentary live stream on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Central on Rumble, because nothing is better than all animals all the time.